Good morning. How are we doing today? My name is James Sweeney, aka SplitSuit. Welcome back to another video. And today we're going to run through the 3-bet ranges versus flops section of the Postflop workbook, go through page 99 together, and have some fun. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Alright, so on page 99, let's start with the prompt. Playing a 5-10 cash game, they open raise to 30, you 3-bet to 100 total, and they are the only caller. So you have position in this spot, but it doesn't really matter all that much. We're just really looking at their range, our blockers, the board, and seeing how often everything actually hits. So let's start by plugging everything into Flopzilla. So our dead cards first, Ace of Hearts, King of Clubs, right? That's our starting hand. The board we're exploring is an Ace High Rainbow board. So Ace of Clubs, 6 of Hearts, 5 of Spades. Perfect. And let's start by grabbing their range. We just grab that right out of the answer key. So page 99, their range, copy that, paste it into Flopzilla, hit enter, rock and roll. So same range we see over here. And let's start doing the questions real quick. So how often are they flopping these different categories? This is very similar to the previous sections. The main difference though is that in this spot, in these questions, we have our hole cards factored in, whereas in some of the previous chapters, we were looking at blank hole cards, so we weren't looking at the blocking effect of our own hand. So this is going to be a little bit different, but in 3-bet pots where the ranges can be significantly more narrow than normal pots, it's important to make sure that we are factoring those in because they can have a much larger blocking effect. So, like we've talked about in previous examples, we can do this with a single color method or a multicolor method, totally your call. I'm going to use the multicolor method just to make life a little bit easier, show you how to do that. So we're going to set the overpair plus, and obviously on an ace high board there's not going to be overpairs, but if it were say a king high board, then overpair would be available. But let's just keep it like this for now. So 2 pair or better would satisfy overpair plus. Then we have top pair plus. Let's make that green. In red, we'll make the middle pair or better, which is going to include middle pair and also pocket pair below top pair. Below top card. Pink will be the open-ended straight draws or better, so that will include open-ended straight draws and flush draws, but on a rainbow board, no flush draws to speak of. And orange will be the gut shots as well. All right, so factoring everything in, there is no blue here simply because there are no overpairs available, no problem. Let's look at blue plus green. Again, there's no blue, so 0 plus green is 11. Perfect. Middle pair plus is going to be that 11 plus the red, so let's get that up to, we'll plug our calculator, be precise, because there can be some rounding stuff that happens when we're doing this workbook, and I just want to make sure that we have this exact. So 61.2 rounds down to 61. All right, open-ended straight draw or better. That's going to add all that up, and also the pink, but there is no pink in this spot, so we're going to keep that also at 61. And then the gut shot is going to add in the orange, so essentially everything that's not gray is going to be right here at 66. Perfect. And let's check the answer key and make sure we got everything correct. So 0, 11, 60, 60, and 66. So there must have been a slight rounding thing. Sometimes this happens. So if this was 11, this rounded down to 49, adding those up would get you to 60. So again, being plus or minus 1% is really not too big of a deal like at all in this situation. So don't stress too much if you're off ever so slightly like that. It just depends on kind of where you're doing your rounding. So in this situation, rounding that to 60, 60, and 66, totally fine. Got all the answers correct. So let's take a moment and do the next one as well. So we're going to keep our dead cards the same. We're going to keep their range the same. The main thing we're changing is the board, and that is going to be Queen of Spades, 10 of Spades, 4 of Diamonds. And you notice that we can actually keep everything the exact same. So because we set up the multicolor system very easily, oops, let's just get rid of that. Because we had already set this up correctly, we're in a situation where all we have to do is just kind of look over here and add appropriately. Now there is one little difference here because open-ended straight draw plus is also going to include all these weak pairs. So those were not included in the original run. So flush draw, make sure that's in pink. Make sure all these weaker than middle pairs are in pink, and we're good. So just make sure to stay away from the no made hand and the no flush draw. If you click those by accident, it will massively skew your numbers. So let's start with this. So what do we got? We got 15% in blue. We know that's the overpair. 15% plus 11, let's call that 26. Middle pair plus, again, adding this plus the red gets us to, I'm just going to pull it out. 26 plus 20, probably 26 or 52, fine. And then if we take that, add it to the next one, what are we at? We're going to add the pink plus 39, gets us to 91. And there might be some slight rounding here, but we get the idea. And then when we include gut shots as well, we're up to 100. All right, let's check the answer key, see how we did. So 15, 26, 52, 90, and 100. Again, just rounding thing going on here, but roughly the exact same thing, no stress. So other than just kind of doing some basic data entry out of Flopzilla, we should be asking ourselves, like, what is the goal here? What is the takeaway with this kind of exercise? Well, a couple different things. One, when we have the ace blocker in this situation on the ace high board, obviously we have top pair, that's all well and good, but notice how often they're going to have like really strong hands that can pay us off, right? They're not going to have top pair plus very often, so it's going to be, or top pair really is the hand we're hoping they're going to have, but they're not going to have that very often. And part of that is a blocking function, obviously, right? We have the ace of hearts in our hand, there's an ace on board, that's going to block out a lot of their ace king, ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, but also notice those are just the suited variants, so there's not tons of combos of those in the first place. That being said, if you had a different hand, say king queen instead, well, obviously you'd be very interested in looking for folds, which makes this more attractive, right? They have a lot of hands that are just kind of missing the board, aren't very strong, or maybe stick around for one bet but don't stick around for multiple, so that's important to know. So this is the way that you would start factoring that in, and then obviously when we have ace-king on this board, right, they are definitely catching a decent chunk of the time, especially if they're going to continue with any open-ended straight draw or better. And they're probably going to stick around for one street, but the question is, do they stick around for multiple, right? If you think they're only going to continue with like middle pair plus and the draws, well, then they're not sticking around with like pocket pairs below second card, which is an extra 30% of folds, which is pretty significant. So it's something that you definitely want to be factoring in, but this could help you say, okay, maybe this isn't a great situation to throw out a single barrel, but maybe I have to throw out 2 or 3 barrels, right? Because when we have ace high, we're not going to improve a ton of the time, so it's important that we have some sort of multi-street plan. And yeah, it's the same thing when we have like ace king, which yes, has significantly better draw potential than something like, I don't know, 5, 6 of diamonds, but by the same token, both of them are a little bit more in the bluffing spectrum, so I would definitely be looking for the multi-street play. And that's the way that you do these kind of exercises. That's the way you think more deeply about these exercises to try to pull strategic gems from them. And hopefully that helps. And again, if you're like plus or minus 1% because of a rounding issue, it's not too much of a concern. If you're like way off, then you definitely want to slow down, go check your filters, make sure you set everything appropriately, and then go forward from there. So if you have any comments or questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. Otherwise, good luck with this section. And of course, as always, good luck out there and happy grinding.